RotoSchutzen is a simple enough game. You take control of a little crate with a rotor and a gun and an age-old quest to push a giant button to make things blow up. Well, maybe the story isn't the strong point of the game, but the gameplay itself is rock solid, if not overly simplistic. Not that there's anything wrong with that. With the barren tundra of quality XBLIG titles, RotoSchutzen's simplistic gameplay and rock-solid, albeit uninspired, design might be enough to land itself in the spot of the annals of the XBLIG games actually worth playing. Is the RotoSchutzen good enough to propel itself to a good score, or will it stall out and fall into obscurity with the rest of the XBLIG trash? The first thing you'll notice about the RotoSchutzen is the game's abnormally high production value for just a $1 indie game. The developers took the time to make sure every screen had a transition, every action had an animation, and every bullet impact had a graphical effect rather than just despawning the actor. There's even a nifty depth of field effect on a lot of the level art to accentuate that, at least visually, the developers definitely know what they're doing. The music and sound effects are also spot on, but the constant noise of rotor blades beating can get annoying, so I recommend that if this really bothers you, you just turn down the sound effects in the options menu. Now for the not so great aspects of the game. The game is a dual-stick shooter, but it greatly negates the need to shoot at all when enemy defenses can absorb quite a bit of punishment. This makes it considerably easier and smarter to just blow past them rather than stick around and try to destroy them. And with no score, currency, or upgrade system in place, your motivation for fighting these enemies is even less important. Hit detection can sometimes be a little confusing as well. Turns out the rotors themselves have no hit detection, so it's only the crate that you actually need to worry about whenever trying to fit through tight spots. The max altitude can be a little confusing at times. At one point you're stopped with just a small distance above the ground, and then half a screen later you're soaring above the heights previously established as the ceiling. Now your little copter can take quite a bit of punishment, but it's hard to tell exactly how much with no health gauge. The only way to actually tell how much health you have is by smoke that's coming off the crate. Needless to say, the smoke is the last thing you're paying attention to whenever you're attempting to navigate a gauntlet of bullets. Speaking of bullets, you actually can't shoot higher than the bottom of your box. This makes it a real pain whenever the game decides to put enemies above the box and you can't shoot at them. Frame rate can also really chug when the action gets hot and heavy. You should be able to beat the game in about half an hour. Half an hour of entertainment for $1 is just fine, but your time to value ratio may be quite a bit different than ours. It's actually very difficult to score RotoSchutzen. Pardon the pun, but it really doesn't think outside the box when it comes to its game design or presentation. But also for $1, it's difficult to argue. Ultimately, you're going to forget RotoSchutzen exists in a couple of weeks. And ultimately, since the game fails to leave a lasting impression, RotoSchutzen gets a 2 out of 5. Not bad, but certainly not great.